I'm Jamie Adams. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Scorpion. I lead our sales, partnerships, and marketing teams here. I've been with the company for almost 11 years, which is crazy to say out loud. We've grown pretty exponentially. We deliver digital marketing technology and services to businesses. I would put our customer base primarily in the high complexity, less desirable. They are the businesses that you buy from when you have a problem. So residential services companies like plumbers, HVACs, pest control businesses, professional services companies like law firms and healthcare systems or hospitals. So our customer base are primarily local service-based businesses that are looking to attract customers when they have a need that those businesses fulfill. And typically, you have a plumbing problem or you need an attorney. It's not because you're excited about it, right? So, but that's our background, and that's who I am. We've been working with Yext. I've been here 11 years, so we've been working with Yext for 8 or 9 years of that time. Yeah, looking forward to taking a seat and answering some questions.
Excellent. Well, let's just jump right into it, Jamie. First of all, what are you seeing? I mean, you are, dealing with these service businesses that are, supporting, millions of customers across the United States. What are they telling you? What are they seeing as a shift in, just their everyday, outreach to customers and bringing in those customers? Tell us more about that from a search perspective.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there's some things they're telling us, and I think that there's some things that we're seeing that we're trying to tell them, right? So I think the things that they are telling us or they're asking us about are, how do we leverage new platforms like TikTok, which got brought up, to maybe reach and make an impression on a younger audience. So a lot of these companies, plumbing or attorneys, the ones that are really thinking ahead about their business and how do I continue to grow into the future are thinking about how do I get in front of this younger audience and make an impression there. So we get a lot of questions about leveraging TikTok or leveraging other social platforms to create content that will effectively help us get in front of these types of younger demographics. I think the things that we are seeing that we're going to our customers and informing them about are not so much a material change in how consumers are using Google right now. I think that we're preparing for that. And candidly, we're kind of hoping that happens because we prefer it be a little bit more publisher agnostic than it is today. But we are certainly seeing lots more long form queries on Google, right? So instead of, I call it traditional kind of Google speak, plumber near me, family law attorney near me, we're starting to see longer queries like best plumber that can fix a drain cleaning problem in zip code 75208, right? So we're seeing longer queries. And I think that that's being driven by some of these new, these new ChatGPT, Gronk, Gemini interfaces, where it's a much more conversational query or conversation versus a traditional Google search.
Yeah. And to your point too, with the audience being younger and they're starting to make those purchasing decisions. I mean, my kids who are 24 to 17, they actually talk to their devices. They don't type into their devices. So that certainly makes a lot of sense that they're a lot longer form than, our generation of typing in those keywords. So what are you doing? I mean, a lot of the audience here today are like you, Jamie. What are you doing in light of these shifts and in light of, what customers are really looking for? How do you let that guide your roadmap today?
Yes, I mean, I think there are a few things, right? I mean, we're starting to really look at, we're an interesting company because, I always tell people that we're really a technology company that kind of has an agency sitting on top of it. So we make a lot of investments in software and technology. We bought a company several years ago, back in 2020, called Can I Rank, and they were really trying to kind of understand. It was a bunch of data scientists that were trying to reverse engineer how Google ranks organic websites, or websites organically rather, and then apply SEO work against that, right? So basically, what is the most valuable SEO work that we could do to help a business achieve higher organic rankings on Google. So we continue to iterate on that product, specifically around, how are platforms like GPT going to influence search, right? So Christian had a couple of slides. When you ask GPT certain questions and it brings back information on businesses, it typically cites other sources, right? It could be long tail directories, it could be news articles, right? So we're starting to think more about, okay, how can we adjust our SEO strategies, in a way that would enable us to go do more article writing or link building on sites that we may not have thought about a year or two ago. So that's one way we're using AI to kind of influence our SEO roadmap. We're also applying AI to help our customers operationally more, right? So when our customers hire us, Scorpion, right, they're really hiring us to be their digital marketing company, right? So we may work with a CMO if they have one, but oftentimes we're kind of the company, right? So they just want to know, I'm spending this much money with you. What types of leads and or customers and or revenue is that generating? And, we do all sorts of lead tracking. So we'll track phone calls, we'll track form submissions. We've got an AI chat bot that we customize for our customers on their website. But most leads today still come from a phone call. Like business needs a family law attorney. They go to their website. They pick up the phone, they call, right? So one of the ways that we've applied AI is we started basically analyzing, scoring, and giving feedback on every lead using AI. So when our customers log in to Scorpion, they don't just see a long list of phone calls and leads. They actually see, this lead was rated 100%, and this is the reason why, right? They were indicated they were maybe a high net worth individual, and they need a family law attorney, right? So that would be 100% lead, right? A plumber example with that would be, hey, they called about an underground plumbing or an underground drain leak that they've got, right? So we're starting to help, we're starting to use AI to help our customers identify high value opportunities so they can take action on those maybe a little bit differently than a lead that's not as opportunistic from a revenue perspective.
For sure. And especially when they have those long tail, like actual intentional queries, it certainly means that that's a hotter lead and obviously a lot more valuable.
Yeah.
What advice would you offer to your small brands, your customers that want to be, really visible in the AI and the social driven, landscape today?
Yeah.
I think that's a question that a lot of our partners are getting from their customers. How are you positioning yourself in that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, for your really small businesses, I mean, first of all, I would just say that it's becoming increasingly difficult for the really small business, right? Like to compete, mainly because when you think about if you're a brand new business and you don't have a presence online, particularly on Google today, and you have to spend money on advertising, it's just more expensive. It's just the reality of the market, right? But that being said, if I were starting a small business, where I would really hone in and start would be a great Google business profile, right? So all of your traditional name, address, phone number stuff is kind of table stakes, but I would really hone in on, a great process from the start on getting reviews on my Google profile, filling out all the content information that Google allows within that template, getting kind of in the Q&A section, right? Anything you can do to get visibility on your Google profile would kind of be starting point number one. The place that I would go next is getting a great website, right? And again, you can work with a company like Scorpion, or you could go build something yourself, but get a great website that's well optimized technically, that's attached to and linked back to your Google profile. I still think listings are an important thing to start out with. So make sure you got all your Yelp and your Facebook business listings set up. You can work with companies like Yext. And then from there, right, like if you really want to take advantage of AI from the start, you have a website, find a great AI chat agent that is not one of these kind of rules-based, if then this typical old school chat, but find a company that builds, AI, generative AI chat that can answer questions for people that hit your website, right? And those questions could be, hey, do you provide service in my zip code? Answers could be, hey, I'm looking for a plumber that does drain cleaning. Do you do drain cleaning? Or it could even be something that actually helps lead someone to book an appointment with you, right? So yes, we do drain cleaning. Here's our availability. Pick a time and I'll get that scheduled for you, right? So again, the way that I would think about it, just to sum that up, optimize your Google profile, get all your other listings set up, get a great website, throw on AI chat so you don't miss potential leads, and you can deliver good customer experiences. Those are the starting points that I think I would encourage businesses to kind of hone in on from the start if you're really small.
Well, it seems like you struck a chord. Alex actually had a question here. Do you have any research studies that show that AI chatbots really help to increase sales?
Yeah, so we actually at Scorpion, and again, keep in mind who our customer base is, right? So we're working with your service-based businesses, professional services, residential services, healthcare. We don't do chat in healthcare today. It's just a little too dicey for us to want to risk. But for attorneys and for plumbers, we do. And what we've seen is when we layered in our AI chat solution, it actually increased lead conversions by 30% from the baseline, right? 30%. So 30%, yeah, and that's been across the board. And that has actually held true for the last, just over a year since we introduced that product, right? So we do see that if you go from a website where your call to action is a phone call and maybe an online form or email call to action, when we layer on our AI chat product, it actually increases the lead percentage by 30%. So yeah, we do see material impacts whenever customers choose to put AI chat on their website.
That raises a good question, Jamie, about the loyalty of your customers. I'm sure that many struggle with attrition and retention. Tell us about some of your secret sauce to keep your customers engaged, keep them on Scorpion. Is there anything that you can share? I mean, obviously this might be one of them, right? Like helping them to see that there's a 30% increase on lead generation.
Yeah, I mean, we again being a company that invests a lot in technology and honestly that's like very, very committed to delivering great customer experiences. We built a lot of tools within our platform that that really do simple things like trigger our account management team to reach out to a customer, maybe because they exceeded their the number of leads they got in a single day, they broke a record. Right. So we want to make them aware of that and celebrate that. If they fall outside of a certain maybe kind of acceptable industry cost per lead metric in their advertising, right? Conversely, we want to know about that. So we reach out and we say, hey, we realize we're out of range. We're doing something about it. Right. So there's some things that we're doing just internally based on like systems and technology that we own that our account teams use that we use to kind of just trigger communication. In terms of other things, I would say like our AI, our Leads AI product that I mentioned that kind of rates and scores leads. That's been a big help, right? Because again, most business owners don't have time to go and like listen to all their leads and like understand like what's happening here. So scoring how those things are happening help. We've also done a lot of integrations with we kind of consider ourselves a vertical marketing company, right? So we hone in on legal as a vertical, home services as a vertical. So in home services, right, we did a partnership with a big company called ServiceTitan that went public recently. They're kind of the operational system of record for a lot of plumbers and HVACs and electricians. So we've integrated our marketing product with ServiceTitan so we can do things like show our customers how much, not just how many leads they're getting through marketing, but how many customers and how much revenue is being generated. Right. So when you get closer to the actual transaction and you can actually equate ROI, that's been a big win from a retention perspective for us. Right. Not just showing, hey, your cost per lead is X, but your actual cost per customer acquisition is X. And you're generating, a 15X ROI in your marketing investment. That's pretty powerful.
Excellent. Those are great takeaways. Thank you for sharing that. I think one thing that, everyone is thinking about, you kind of mentioned it earlier, especially because it's top of mind, is TikTok. I mean, 40% of Gen Z prefer TikTok and Instagram. So it's a true search engine. what do you think we need to be doing as a community to kind of hone in and leverage those platforms and really educate the small businesses on what their approach is to these platforms?
Yeah, so this is going to be probably a controversial response from a company that provides digital marketing services, right? So, look, I think personally, just kind of honing in on TikTok today as it stands, right? I think that the most valuable way for a business to get leverage out of TikTok is to come up with and own a strategy internally for that, right? TikTok is one of those mediums where I think your opportunity to create connection with potential customers through it is really based on the authenticity of the content, right? And kind of creating like unique brand leverage. I think it's a really hard solution to outsource to a digital marketing company, even ours, right? Like, we do TikTok for a handful of our customers, but they're our largest customers because it's a big investment, right? They want us to send video crews out and do professional video. But if you're the average small business that's kind of budget constrained and you can't spend money on, professional production like we provide to our customers, I think you just got to you got to find a handful of people in your organization that are willing to kind of take some chances and pump out some content and go that route. I think future state, again, there's so much happening with generative AI, even from like a video perspective, right? So there may be a day where you can go work with an agent, an AI agent, and you can actually create unique video content using AI and an agent, and that can be part of your strategy, right? But today, current state, if I'm talking to a business owner, the average small business who asks me about TikTok, my feedback to them is, hey, go find a handful of small businesses that are doing it well and figure out are there strategies that you can implement, and then go find people within your organization that actually can go execute the content.
That is a lot to see in the future.
Yeah, yeah.
I know my husband, he's a small business and he uses my daughter to do his content. So
Yeah, we've got lots of customers that similar, right? They are small business owners, and they grew up in the business, and now their kids are growing up in the business. And we see we actually have a Mr. Rooter plumbing franchisee that we work with, and the owner's daughter, like you mentioned, is their kind of internal social media coordinator, and she pumps out a lot of great content on Instagram and TikTok, right? So I think that they're doing things right. Again, I think that the way to do those particular platforms most effectively is have some type of internal strategy that you can lean into.